We have arrived at the popular Circuit of the Americas in Austin, Texas for the running of the United States Grand Prix, the first of 2 North American races this season. Coming into this week, one team has been in the news this week. That team in question being Red Bull, as after a bit of speculation, they have announced that 2-time race winner and 2011 GP2 champion Roberto Garber will remain with the team for the 3rd successive season. Franco has had a mixed season, with the last few races faring better for him. He currently lies 4th in the Drivers' Championship, 77 points behind current teammate Nicolas Gal, and his team Red Bull lies 2nd in the Constructors, 131 points behind Mercedes. Franco's highest point this season obviously came at Malaysia, where despite losing 2 front wings during the race and being held up in the pits during the first front wing change, he made one of the best comebacks in OC history and finally took his 2nd career win, which seemed to add a new leash of confidence to him, as in the next race in Japan, he took advantage of the changeable conditions and contributed to Red Bull getting a 1-2 finish and helping his teammate Nicolas Gal have a good shot at winning the title. Franco will be relieved to still be with Red Bull for next season, and he will be looking to have a great season and hope to fight for his first world title. He will partner alongside George Roque, who will be replacing Nicolas Gal at Red Bull next season, given that Nicolas will be moving back to AlphaTauri in 2021. It will also mean Franco and George will reunite as teammates for the first time since 2018, when the pair were teammates at Haas. Both will be hoping Red Bull will still be competitive in the first season of the fantasy era and hope that they will be fighting for the World Championship. And that is it for this week's edition of the GP4 OC News. The next team news will break at the renamed Mexico City Grand Prix next week, who will be announced tuning to practice next Tuesday at the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez. Hello everybody and welcome to the practice session here for the 2020 United States Grand Prix, the 4th to last race of the 2020 season. I am JW97 and I'm once again joined by my arch nemesis Ra. How are you doing?
Yep, hello. And I am good.
Good. We are here at COTA for the United States Grand Prix, and as you can see for practice, it seems that the rain doesn't want to leave us alone because it is going to be monsoon conditions for the practice session. Whether it will be an omen for qualifying is going to be another question, but without further ado, let us get into the practice session. No test drivers for today, just the regular drivers, and ignore the loading screen, of course. It is the United States Grand Prix, not the Mexican Grand Prix or the Mexico City Grand Prix. It's being known just for this season. Because, of course, these are the 2019 loading screens. And, of course, in the real-life 2019 season, Mexico was before USA, not the other way around. But we are here at COTA, and as you can see, the monsoon tyres are on everybody's car, and we're getting set for the practice session here at Austin, Texas. Now, coming into this, obviously we come off the back of an amazing 1-2 finish for Red Bull, but they've still got a huge mountain to climb because, of course, Mercedes do have a 4th time lucky perhaps of winning the Constructors' Championship, but this time it's a little bit more simpler for them because Mercedes only need to outscore Red Bull by just 1 point. Can they do it, or will the last 3 races still be the same for them? Do you think they'll wrap it up this week, Ra?
Yeah, I do think they can, but it does depend on the conditions and also the strategy and it's going to be important for them that they get both Red Bulls in the race, and yeah, hopefully this is the chance that they'll win it. If not, then on to next time.
Indeed so. There is an update to the Renault livery, by the way, on the side pods, like there was last week at the Japanese Grand Prix, and this could be on the car for the rest of the season, or it might just be a one-off. Evan hasn't fully decided yet on what he's going to do with it, because he did mention that on Discord, but you'll see it in just a little bit. But out on track first is Laura Chung, and of course she was, getting her elbows out last week in Japan, because she was right with it at the front with the Mercedes and the Ferrari, the Red Bulls. And a Ferrari, what am I talking about? But anyway, there is the Renault, as you can see, and as you can see, different side pod like it was last week, because this time they've got AEW branding on the side. Of course, a wrestling promotion in America, and a growing one, in fact, probably competing with its rivals, WWE. So they've got that on the side of the car, mainly because Evan found out that the logo just actually suits well with the black in the background. So that's why he's put that on the side to represent the fact that they're in America. And he did say he could keep that for the remainder of the season, but we will have to wait and see as Jake Galloway tries to get some slipstream off the Haas in front. That has been Daniel Fraser, who finally, last time out, finally scored his and Haas's first ever points.
Yep, indeed, and pretty deserved as well for him.
And Evans just said keep it for the remainder of the season. All right, fair enough. But anyway, it was a fantastic effort from Daniel Fraser. Finally, Haas scoring points, but so far they are still last in the Constructors' Championship because, of course, Manor have 6 points to their name. They've still got 4 races to try and avoid finishing last in the Constructors' Championship, but only time will tell, of course, as we ride on board with Fraser, who makes his way into the second to last corner in these monsoon conditions. Now, usually around about this point in the season, as Franco Garber just goes... in fact, I'll talk about that a little bit in just a little bit, because Garber's just about to overtake Lower Chung there into the first corner. And of course, for anybody who's just joined, it's finally been confirmed that he will indeed remain at Red Bull for another season. No real surprise, Ra?
Yep, no surprises there. I mean, the fact that he won unexpectedly in Malaysia and he got second place in Japan was good enough for him to remain at Red Bull, even though he had very low competition.
Indeed so, and a very deserved chance. And of course, it does mean that Franco Garber and George Roque will reunite in 2021. Of course, they were last teammates in 2018 when they were both teammates at Haas. They worked well together there, and hopefully they work together very well again in 2021, this time at Red Bull, with both of them hoping that they can fight for the championship. And as you can see, just on the left-hand side, in fact, it does look like the clouds are starting to get a little bit brighter. The sky is starting to get a bit brighter already, so maybe we could see some changeable conditions early on, but we'll have to wait and see. It depends on how much water is still out there on the track. So, that's that really, as Armar Carr is just getting by on Dudu Kirby there. Now, usually around about this point of the season, I normally ask people, because I normally do for the US Grand Prix, what your predictions are for the remaining seats, as Lopez has a little bit of a wild moment there, going through into the left-hander there. Just looked like he aquaplaned there.
Yep, indeed, we are about to see it again. He took a lot of curb before that, on the third to last corner, before he made the mistake, and yeah, he got a lot of oversteer and took aquaplaning here and went off just like that. And he is pretty lucky he didn't lose his front wing.
Indeed, so he'll keep it together. Of course, he is leading the Drivers' Championship, but he's not the only... But Armar Carr is no longer the only rival he's got to fear of now. The other rival, of course, being Miklos Gau, for the last few races has been chipping away at those two Mercedes and now put himself right in title contention. It's still a bit of an outside shot, to be honest with you, because the gap between Gau and Lopez going into this race is, if I'm not mistaken, it is actually 46 points. But still, it is doable, and given that Carr is 38 points behind Lopez, it'll be very interesting to see if those two can catch up in these remaining 4 races, of course, because if they can't, then Lopez could find himself with a good opportunity, perhaps, and depending on how well he does this week, could give himself maybe a good chance of trying to go for the title at Mexico. But we will have to wait and see, of course, as Miklos Gau comes out of the final turn, the man who won last time out in Japan and officially given himself more wins this season than Franco Lopez, goes into second place. So far, Red Bull 1-2. We've only had a few times on the board as we speak. Carr goes into third position. I expect Lopez to be low down because of his mistake, as Martinez gets overtaken there by one of the Alpha Tauris. Now, as I was saying before Lopez made his mistake, normally around this point in the season, I do like to ask people what their predictions are for the remaining seats of the 2021 season. As we speak right now, there are 7 seats left up for grabs in these remaining 3 races, and all 7 of them being from different teams, because every team on the 2021 grid has got at least 1 driver confirmed. So the remaining seats left available up for grabs, and I'll go in alphabetical order. There's 1 seat left at Alfa Romeo, 1 seat left at Alpha Tauri, 1 seat left at Aston Martin, 1 seat left at Ferrari. Of course, that was meant to be Roberto Garber before he announced his shock retirement at the Malaysian Grand Prix. 1 seat remaining at Haas, 1 seat remaining at Lamborghini, and 1 seat remaining at Renault. So I'm going to ask people in the stream chat, who do you believe is going to get those remaining seats? And I think I'll ask Ra these questions as well whilst we're here. It gives us something to talk about during these practice sessions, and you guys can also join along as well on who you believe will get those remaining seats. So I'm going to ask you, I'll go in alphabetical order. Who do you believe will get the remaining Alfa Romeo seat alongside Andrea Vaderi, in your opinion?
I think it's going to be pretty tight between Protzik, Brennan, and Quag. But also, Brennan and Quag have Renault as first choice. If one of them misses out on that Renault seat, they could get Alfa Romeo. I think for me, it's got to be Protzik.
I believe Protzik is going to get the seat. So you don't believe that Gabriel Gomez can be retained?
Well, it depends if he picks up his form. I mean, like races like that, for example, when he got 6th place, maybe he has a chance. But knowing his season, it's not been the best of seasons, not as good as 2019, for example. But for me, I'm going to have to go with Protzik.
Okie dokie. So, next one then. So, you're going to go with Proxy for the second Alfa Romeo. See, I won't be giving any prediction, of course, because I'm part of the sign-up process. So, but that's Roth's prediction. He believes that Ruslan Proxy will be Andrea Vaderi's teammate at Alfa Romeo next season. So, next one then. Who do you believe will be Miklos Gal's teammate at Alpha Tauri? Do you think it'll be a simple choice here?
Could be, because I mean, Q-Park, the fact that he got his first podium in the top class has been amazing for him, and I do believe he's still in the top 10 in the Drivers' Championship. And yeah, also the race he had in Japan wasn't the best, even though Chatfield didn't have the best of races in Malaysia. I'd say Q-Park has the edge over it.
Okay, you're going to go with David Cupot then to partner alongside Miklos Gal. And to clarify what you were asking earlier during that, yes, he is still in the top 10 of the championship. He still finds himself 9th in the Drivers' Championship at the moment, ahead of Laura Chung and Joseph Willows and Evan Byrne, of course, who over the last few races has retired in 7 of the last 8 races, of course, and finds himself now down in 12th in the Drivers' Championship as Gal tries to overtake Chatfield there, as we were speaking about Alpha Tauri. Right, next up then, we'll go over to Aston Martin. Now, we know that there is going to be a different driver at Aston Martin next season, given that George Roque is going to be going back to Red Bull in 2021. So who do you believe will be Roland Motrin's new teammate, Ra?
At the moment, again, tough competition, similar to Alfa Romeo and Renault. It's between Curtis, Anderson, and I think Adventure. And so far, Curtis is leading the GP2 championship as it stands. And if things go his way, he could win the championship. And for me, I think I'll go for him.
As we were speaking there, Q-Park has just made a wild mistake there. It looked like he just got on the gas a little bit too early there, coming out of the hairpin. And a little bit of a wild error there from David Q-Park. A bit of a clumsy one, you'd have to say there, Ra.
Yep, indeed.
So, as Ra was just saying there, he's going with Aaron Curtis to partner alongside Roland Motrin. That's his prediction. Next up, then, we go over to Ferrari. Now, of course, I mentioned there, it was originally, of course, meant to be Roberto Garber that will partner alongside Jake Galloway. But, of course, after his shock retirement that he announced at the Malaysian Grand Prix, that isn't going to be the case now. So, so we now know for a fact as well, it will be an entirely new lineup for Ferrari in 2021 because, of course, Laura Chung will be driving for the brand new Lamborghini team in 2021. That was, of course, confirmed last week at the Japanese Grand Prix. So who do you believe will partner alongside Jake Galloway at Ferrari, Ras? We just see Dudu Kirby have a little bit of a wiggle there going out of turn 2.
Yeah. I know that Dennis Garfas has his first choice. I know Klaus has Ferrari as his second choice. I don't know if someone else has it. I know that he is in the competition. Don't remember the name, but I know he has as a second choice. But I know he's in the competition. I think it was Fosbury. I'm not sure, but I think I'll go for Klaus.
You're going to go with Klaus. Well, that person in particular you were referring to there, I'm surprised you don't know who he is because he is on the top class grid at the moment. His name's Chris Chatfield.
Yeah. Whoops. But to be fair, we'll see. I may change it. I'll probably go for Chatfield, but then again, it depends. Yeah, I'll go for Klaus. I'll go for Chatfield for this one.
Okay, fair enough then. So he's going to go with Chris Chatfield then, who will partner alongside Jake Galloway at Ferrari next season, which will make it an all-British lineup if that were the case. Next up then, fellow Ferrari engine suppliers, Haas. Now, of course, Amelia Wilson is going there next season to replace the retired Dudu Kirby, of course, moving over from Mano, who, of course, will be pulling out after this season and, of course, being completely replaced by Lamborghini. So who do you believe will be Amelia Wilson's teammate next season, Ra, at Haas?
Given the fact that Fraser's just gotten points, it's not been the best of debut for him this season in the top class. But yeah, at least he's ahead of his teammate, but it's not the season he'd hoped for, and he's been involved in a lot of incidents. There's more competition for him with Bivona, Plus, and Fosbury. I think I'll go for Kloss on this one.
Okay, you're going to go with Bartosz Kloss then to go alongside Emilia Wilson for 2020 at Haas. The penultimate team then, that would be Lamborghini, of course, the brand new Lamborghini team. And I don't know if Ra's going to do his prediction a little bit differently here, because of course we know that, as I mentioned earlier, Laura Chung will be joining the team next season. That was confirmed last week. It's just a question of who's going to be her teammate in 2021. And the reason why I say Ra might go a little bit different with his prediction is because he is in contention for this seat. So, do you believe you'll get the seat, Ra, or do you believe that someone else will get it?
Well, if Martinez performs like a miracle, then he may get the seat. Like an example, if he can get like pretty much three straight points finishes, then yes. But given the fact that his season's not been the best, and he's made a lot of mistakes, and the fact that some of his chances where he could have gotten points were gone down to no fault of his own. I want to say Martinez, but I can't. I want to say Martinez, but I know I'm in this, so I'm saying Martinez just so I don't jinx myself.
Okay then, so he's going Rosetta Martinez to partner alongside Laura Chung at Lamborghini, but at the same time he's hoping it's himself, basically, as you can tell by the way he was talking. Finally then, we'll go over to Renault then. Now, of course, we know that Jake Galloway is not going to be at the team next season because, of course, he's moving over to Ferrari. So Evan Byrne, of course, will be having, yet again, a new teammate for the second season in a row. So who do you believe will partner alongside Byrne next season, Ra?
In more competition between, well, it's two contenders between Prinin and Quag on who will get that seat. Quag's leading the championship in DTM so far, so he does have a shot at winning the championship at Belgium. Prinin, he's in the championship hunt in GP2, but he is, again, still way behind, but he can close up. But we'll see. I think it'll go down to the wire, and I'd say Quag is slightly the favourite, and I'm going to go for him.
Okay, so he's gone with Roman Quag to partner alongside Evan Byrne next season. So they are Ra's predictions, but what are your predictions, guys, in the stream chat? I'm pretty sure some people have already done that. I'm just going to double check. There has been some people who have put predictions. So Dennis has put Ra to Lamborghini, Q-Pop remains at AlphaTauri, Curtis to Aston Martin, Quag to Renault, Chatfield to Ferrari, Bavona to Haas. That's an interesting one, of course. The current Formula E Championship leader who does have a chance to win the Formula E title this weekend. And Perinen to Alfa Romeo he's gone for there. So that's that, really. Rosetta has said he's gone with Q-Pop to go at AlphaTauri. That's the only prediction he's put right there. And I think that's it, really. So they're the predictions we've got. Obviously, Dennis giving out a big one there. I might ask that later on in qualifying as well to other people, because, of course, we usually get more viewers during the qualifying session. But that's that then. Meanwhile, we get back to the action now. Then that was a very nice conversation we just had there, Ra. So thank you for that. So back to the action now then. So meanwhile, the two Red Bulls are 1 and 2 at the moment, and it seems to be a common trend with Red Bull, because we've seen in the last few races they do seem to have perhaps the upper hand on Mercedes when it comes to the wet conditions.
Yep, indeed. And you could say the same thing for Ferrari, but slightly down on Mercedes, as we saw from Chung on last race. But yeah, Ferrari, yep, only 6th, and where is Roberto Garber, only 10th. But yeah, Red Bull pretty good in the wet, and yeah, they do hope for a wet race.
Indeed so, and speaking of a Mercedes there, you're not seeing things. That was the pink Mercedes getting by on the actual Mercedes into turn 1. That was George Rote getting by there on one of the Mercedes there, as a common feature when the wet conditions here around Austin, especially out of that I want to call it a hairpin, but it's not really a hairpin. It's more of a just over 90-degree corner, really, if you look at it on the track map. But yeah, basically a common feature that is the Pirelli rain dots on the screen, mainly because it's drafting the reflection over from one of the Pirelli boards on the side. So that's why you normally see Pirelli rain dots on the exit of that corner. So anyway, we now look at Evan Byrne, and we mentioned earlier, 7 out of the last 8 races he has failed to finish, and of course in Japan he had a bit of a shocker.
Yep, he made a big error and went into the wall. Pretty unlucky, and of course he lost the win in Malaysia. Yeah, I hope I don't get punched in the face by him, but yeah, it hurts for him. But yeah, at least he has a seat, and hopefully he can do better next season.
He is hoping that indeed, because he is hoping that Renault hope to be fighting at the front next season in the fantasy era. That's his hope, at least. Anyways, we see Franco Lopez getting by on one of the AlphaTauris there, going down the back straight, and just trying to make out which one it is. I think it's David Kupok who was just getting by. There's a ride back on board with Byrne, who's actually up on his personal best again in the first sector, as you can see on the def panel, and Byrne is hoping for a better weekend here in Malaysia, America. Well, the flag's similar. So anyway, Rote meanwhile has got up into third position in the Racing Point and gets himself in front of both the Mercedes of Car and Lopez, as Byrne now then makes his way towards the left-hander. It looks like a hairpin, but it isn't really, because if you look at it from the angle that he's coming up towards, you realise that it's not really a hairpin. It's now into the stadium section, as it's kind of been branded as. It kind of takes some mimicking away from the... it kind of mimics what Hockenheim has with its stadium section. And then we go into what is essentially a mirrored version of the infamous Turn 8 at Istanbul. But on this occasion, I think it's got a little bit less right-handers than what Turkey has with its left-handers. We saw some more improvements there. Wallow's improved, he goes into the top 10. Lopez improved, but he only remains in 5th position at this point in time, as Roberto Garber makes his way down towards the left-hander, as he'll now make his way into the left-hander now, then using all the curb on the inside. And again, whether this weather will be here for qualifying is another question, as Rote tries on one of the Renaults there. I believe that Renault being Jake Galloway, as now they make their way towards the right-hander. And because of that, Rote now finds himself 6 tenths down on his personal best in the middle sector. I believe, did Byrne improve there? Because it seems like he was up. So Byrne currently right now still in 14th position. He's able to improve on lap time, just not on position at this point in time. But now he finds himself 2 tenths down in the first sector at this point in time. So with just over 12 minutes to go, this is what the leaderboard currently looks like. It's Franco Garber at the top with Miklos Gal in second, George Roque in third, then it is Armar fourth, Franco Lopez currently fifth, then Kirishima De Rosa sixth, Laura Chung seventh, Jake Galloway in eighth, Roland Motrin in ninth, Joseph Willows in 10th, and then it is Roberto Garber 11th, Chris Chatfield in 12th, David Kupok in 13th, followed by Evan Byrne in 14th position, and then it is Dudu Kirby 15th, Andre Videri 16th, Felix Sontag 17th, Gabriel Gomez 18th, Jamie Griffiths 19th, Daniel Fraser 20th, and then the two Maz of Rosetta Martinez in 21st, and Emilio Watson in 22nd position. And as I was speaking there, Gal was able to improve to now bring himself exactly a 10th behind his teammate Franco Garber at the moment. So the Red Bulls stretching their advantage so far in this practice session, and we were discussing about this before the stream, that basically you could essentially say that Red Bull just need this sort of weather again this weekend to give them a chance of delaying Mercedes on winning the Constructors' Championship, and for Gal, for him to try and close up on the two Mercedes in the Drivers' Championship, as meanwhile Willows is trying to find a way through on a Williams, a team that he's had a little bit of anger management issues, it's fair to say, being stuck behind one of these cars for quite a while, especially considering that one of them actually beat him to a podium in Malaysia, that one being Jamie Griffiths, of course, who took Williams' first podium since 2017, and his first ever podium in the top class, in what was essentially an underdog drive, because the two guys who started on the back row, Kupok and Griffiths, both got their first ever podiums out of it. It was kind of a coincidence, that one was, as meanwhile Martinez goes around the right and left-hander, as Gabriel Gomez meanwhile gets up into 14th position, gets himself above Evan Byrne at this point in time. The gaps seem pretty large indeed, which I find a little bit surprising, because we're not on the normal wet tyre. I would understand if they were on the normal wet tyre, because there's a soft and hard compound of the normal wet tyre, but there isn't a soft and hard compound for the extreme wet tyre, which is a bit bizarre. So yeah, I don't know if it's traffic that's being involved, or maybe some cars just can't seem to cope with the wet conditions. I don't know. A bit of a strange one, that, as Byrne, meanwhile, has got the Alfa Romeo behind, and ironically, it's the guy who pushed him down into 15th, Gabriel Gomez, who, of course, last time out, Ra, had a very, you've touched on it briefly whilst we were talking about predictions, had a very, very good race in Japan and ended up finishing in 6th.
Yep, indeed, and hopefully he gets more of those and to save his future, as Fraser's got up to 9th.
Yeah, some people do actually think it's a hairpin, Evan, because of the profile of that corner, when in actual fact it isn't. It looks like a hairpin, but in reality it really, really isn't. It kind of has a similar feel to a hairpin, but we know for a fact it's not a hairpin when you look at the camera angle from where your AI, in fact, ironically, has just passed. So, Bern Nowden is now going to negotiate his way into the double left-hander. And now he'll make his way towards the mirrored version of Turkey's infamous Turn 8 before he'll make his way into the last two corners. And now we ride back on board with George Roke. And like with Evan Byrne, a race to forget in Japan for George Roke, you'd have to say, Ra.
You'll probably have to thank his teammate for that.
Yes, indeed, and you've just reminded me of that because, of course, for anybody wondering, Roland Motrin, of course, does have a 10-place grid penalty for this race for that accident he caused with his own teammate George Roke. He obviously did a dangerous rejoin in front of him, and as a result has been awarded a 10-place grid penalty for this Grand Prix. So wherever Motrin ends up in qualifying today, he will drop 10 places back. So you can guarantee for a fact he's going to be starting outside of the top 10 at least. So whereabouts outside the top 10 is going to be a question here. We're hoping it's not too far down the field because otherwise he'll have a lot of work to do tomorrow. As now we just have just under 8 3/4 minutes to go in this session as Byrne makes his way around the mimicked Maggots and Beckett's corners, because a lot of corners here at Austin are based off of tracks across the globe really. Some corners taken from Silverstone, some corners from Istanbul, a section which is kind of mimicking Hockenheim, aka the stadium section in terms of its feeling really, and also the uphill run to the turn one. It's kind of mimicking. It's a mirrored mimic of Austria's turn one, really. Not in terms of the profile of the first corner, but mainly in terms of the uphill climb into the first corner, really. So, anyways, we now look at Chris Chatfield as we ride on board with him now. Whether he will be at AlphaTauri or Ferrari or neither, that's going to be a question to find out in these next few weeks. I think Chris is just hoping that. I don't think he really minds really which team he ends up with, just as long as he's still in the top class for next season. And if he does end up at Ferrari, he'll have to thank Roberto Garber's retirement for that one, really. I think to be fair, if anybody gets the Ferrari seat, they'll have to thank Roberto Garber for that one. As Chatfield now then comes down the long back straight, as now we come down towards. As he comes down towards the corner that looks like a hairpin, but it's not a hairpin, as Chung now passes Jake Galloway, the person who will be replacing her at Ferrari next season. And so now she makes her way down the back straight as we now look at Jamie Griffiths, and it was back to reality for Jamie Griffiths last time out in Japan, Rob, because of course he had a fiery engine.
Yep, indeed. It pretty much didn't look like Williams were going to score points anyway with Felix's strategy.
Indeed so, as we now look at Roke, who's currently getting stuck behind one of the Haas drivers at this point. Not sure which Haas driver it is, but he's currently being held up at this moment as Griffiths comes out of the left-hander now then, before he'll make his way down towards this corner, which is, well, you could say it's a hairpin, but then again, it don't really look like it on the track map. There's a lot of corners that are a bit deceiving that may look like a hairpin, but it isn't. But I think it is classed as a hairpin, that corner is, but the one down below it isn't, as you come off the back straight. Why am I talking about hairpins all of a sudden? Stop talking about hairpins, Joe. Let's move on to the rest of the session, as we've got just over 6 minutes to go in this practice session. Just a few cars in the pits right now, as meantime Laura Chung improves to go up into 6th position, getting herself above Kirishima De Rosa. Gal is currently in the pits, as is Roberto Garber, Felix Sontag and Amelia Wilson. As mentioned, only 4 cars currently in the pit lane right now, all the other 18 cars currently on track, as Roke has finally managed to find a way past that Haas in particular being Dudu Kirby. And meanwhile, car goes to the top of the timing sheets with the first person to break into the 1 minute 49s, in fact. A 1 minute 49.546, so maybe some hidden potential from the Mercedes in these wet conditions, but we will have to wait and see, of course. I mean, they did show some pace last time out in Japan, but it was on strategy that they got outsmarted. As me, speaking of a Red Bull, that's a mistake there for Franco Garber, and he nearly went into the path of that Mercedes there. I presume that was Carr there, or it might have been Lopez, I'm not sure, but a mistake there from Franco Garber.
Yep, indeed. Took a lot of complaining here as well. And went on the curb and nearly lost it as well.
And I just saw the helmet. It was actually Franco Lopez he nearly hit. So the two Francos nearly came together at that point of the track. But of course, both Francos will still be with the same teams next season. Lopez, of course, staying at Mercedes for another season, like with Arma. And of course, Garber, as we found out today, staying at Red Bull to partner alongside his old Haas teammate, George Roke. As meantime, Andre Verderi gets up into 8th position. A big improvement there for the Alfa Romeo drivers. Roland Motrin was green in the middle sector, but he's not going to be green now because he did get held up by Gabriel Gomez there. As meantime, Miklos Gal is coming out on the track. You just saw there on the right-hand side. Q-Pop, meanwhile, gets up into 9th, so I think we're starting to see some drivers starting to improve in this part of the practice session. 5 minutes to go now then in this practice session before we head off into qualifying, and it'll be very interesting to see who's going to take pole position for tomorrow's United States Grand Prix. Mercedes hoping they get a good result tomorrow because, of course, they do. This is probably their best chance to try and wrap up the Constructors' Championship, given that, as I said, they only need to outscore Red Bull by just 1 point. But they'll need to hope that the strategy, and you could say in a way the weather, is on their side, really. They need to hope that the racing gods is on their side this time because... Of course, it's been the last 3 races have all been won by Red Bull, of course. Red Bull winning the last 3 races. Gal, of course, winning in Korea. Garber winning in Malaysia. And Gal, of course, winning last time out in Japan. And, of course, it has put Gal in kind of a strong contention for the championship, but still a lot of work needing to be done if he wants to try and win his 2nd World Championship and potentially take the number 1 over to AlphaTauri. And I think I do believe that he would have the number 1 if he was the champion, because of course he ran that number in 2010 when he was my teammate, oddly enough, at McLaren. So Chatfield now then, he's going back into the pits. Maybe the last time we'll see him out in this practice session, or we'll have to see him again during qualifying. Only Amelia Wilson is in the pit lane right now, and the car in the pit lane as we speak at this point in time, as Chatfield of course will be joining her in the pit lane this lap, as he's got the pit symbol on the top there. As meantime, Jamie Griffiths way off the pace there, 8 seconds off. I do wonder, could it have been a mistake, or could it be what we're seeing currently with the gaps in the field, as you can see? Because at the moment, Wilson finds herself 7 seconds off of our car. I don't know what that if we had a 107% rule. I don't know what that would translate to, but I'm not sure if she would be able to qualify with that time if we had a 107% rule, which thankfully we do not. So that really is Jamie Griffiths now then. He's coming back into the pits this lap, as is Evan Byrne. In fact, I think these two will be finishing off of the day. He's currently getting held up by David Kupak in front of him at the moment. Just under 3 minutes to go in this practice session, and currently we find Amar Kar at the top, with Franco Garber 2nd, Miklos Gal 3rd, George Roque 4th, and then it's Franco Lopez 5th, Laura Chung 6th, Kyoshima DeRosa 7th, with Andre Viderian 8th, David Kupak 9th, and Jake Galloway rounding out the top 10. As meanwhile, we'll look at Gal, who was up on his personal best, but he's now got the Alfa Romeo right in front of him, so this might ruin any plans he's got of trying to get the Red Bull to the top of the timing sheets. I wonder if he'll try and pass him down into this back straight, which I think he should be able to. He's on fresher tyres than what Gabriel Gomez is on. I think Gabriel has actually been on them tyres for a very, very long time. You see what I mean by the Pirelli logos as rain dots there? That's what I mean there. So as Jamie Griffiths now then just comes around the section of corners now then, as he'll be heading into the pits this lap, going through the left-hander we go now then, as he uses all the curb on the outside there, and then into the mimicked turkey section of corners. So as that's why I'm trying to stop, Evan. I don't want people getting drunk. So this is not, we're not on a Saturday night binge here, so let's reduce the drinking a little bit. Although, are you still on holiday right now, Evan? I think you've got a bit of an excuse to be drunk. So, if that's the case, if you drink, that is. I don't know if you drink or not. That's that. So, as meanwhile, Gomez is going back into the pits, and I think that's his session done with. Of course, it will be, because like how much time we've got left on the timing screen, as we're now going to think ride on board for the remainder of this session. Gal didn't improve thanks to Gomez, but he'll get one more lap to try to see if he can improve and potentially get up close to where Amar Kar is. So now we look at Roberto Garber, who's up on his personal best, making his way into the final turn, and onto the pit straight will go the Italian, who of course will be retiring at the end of the season. Roberto Garber down the pit straight, and across the line he will go, and he goes up into 6th, gets in front of his teammate Laura Chung. So P6 and 7 so far for the Ferraris. Sontag is up on his personal best, and he goes 19th, gets in front of Griffiths there, so a switch of positions there for the 2 Williams drivers. Here comes Laura Chung coming out of the final turn. She will go now then, making her way down the pit straight, and across the line will go Laura Chung now then, and she does not improve, stays where she is. Dudu Kirby across the line, no improvement for him either. Here comes Franco Lopez, who's up on his personal best, but can he keep it up? It's a bit of a tight run, his time there, and he's going to lose time in the last sector. He does not improve, and in fact I do wonder if he may have got held up by his own teammate, perhaps, because that's his teammate just behind him there. Kyoshima DeRosa crosses the line, no improvement there. Franco Garber is done for the day. Here comes Joseph Willows now then, coming out of the triple right-hander, as he'll now make his way into the final 2 turns. So, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Checkered flag is out, and that is the end of the session. I do believe Amar Khan was the last one to cross the line. I could be wrong. I may need to double check on that very, very quickly. No, it was De Rosa, in fact. So De Rosa was the last one to cross the line. I do apologise there. As Martinez now then comes across the line. Let's see what Rosetta Martinez can do, and he does not improve. Verderi didn't improve either. Roland Mottren, who's currently lying in 12th position, and of course will have a 10-place grid penalty for tomorrow's race, does not improve. Gal didn't improve either, got held up by his fellow compatriot right there. Roberto Garber now then into the second to last corner. He will go now then, as he uses the bitter curve on the outside into the final turn. Will go Roberto Garber. He's not up on his personal best, so I don't expect him to improve even more, but we will see. Down the pit straight he goes, and Roberto Garber crosses the line, and he doesn't improve, remains in 6th position. Felix Sontag now then, down the pit straight he goes on his final flying lap. He now crosses the line. Is it going to be an improvement for the German? The answer to that is no. Galloway just doing a mileage run, same for Chris Chatfield. Chung goes back into the pits, as obviously typical for him with Austin with the wheels when the drivers get wheeled back into the garage there. Dudu Kirby out of the final turn he goes, as he now makes his way onto the pit straight, and he's not on an improvement, and he's going to be way off his personal best, in fact, and he does not improve. Roke just getting a mileage run there in the racing point. Lopez and Carr cross the line, they do not improve. Wilson just getting a mileage run. Here comes De Rosa, the last person to set a lap. De Rosa now then comes across the line, and let's see what he can do, and he doesn't improve, and that is practice done with Amar Khan at the top, Franco Garber in second, and Miklos Gau in third. What do you make of that session overall, Ra?
Yeah, pretty interesting session. The wet with car quickest by 7 tenths to Franco Gamba, and yeah, but then again, it's not in mixed conditions because this is in full monsoon conditions. So in mixed conditions, that's a big effect for Mercedes. But we'll see what happens in qualifying.
Indeed, so the weather could be different in qualifying. Well, we're just going to take a brief pause for the moment, and then we'll come back with a fresh stream for the qualifying session. But in the meantime, I've been JW97, he's been Ra, and we'll see you in just a little bit for the qualifying session. See you in a bit.